Well, it's cold outside. Relatively. I got a cup of hot tea here. That means Christmas is coming. And more specifically and more importantly for the realm of TF2, Smissmas is right around the corner, and the update should actually drop sometime this week depending on when this video comes out. And today, for a change, I feel compelled to share what I would like to see in game. Do bear in mind that what I would like to see inside of a Smissmas update goes far beyond the word unrealistic, so don't expect any of these things to be put in game. Don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting this either, but it'd be a nice thing to see. I decided to limit myself to just a few item sets and a couple of maps and a few war paints, kind of, because I already do this enough for my second channel. And I'm also not going to talk about unusual effects or taunts because I really don't think we need more of these in game. We have like, what, 400 unusual effects? Good God. We really don't need more cosmetic items in general. There are far more pressing issues that Valve needs to address, but because Valve is going to add these things anyways, I figured I might as well give some love to items that I know will never make it into the game, because they are of the highest of quality, and Valve tends to ignore that. Let's start off with some item sets, alright? We have the Wartime Leftovers for Heavy, the Highland Society for Demo Man, and the Merry Mole for Engineer. I mean, just look at these. They're so good! These item sets are just good, solid cosmetics that look like they belong in the game. They actually look like something that the mercenaries would wear. They mesh perfectly into the game, and with other existing cosmetics for a ton of loadout possibilities. I've said this a ton of times on my stream. You know that you've made good cosmetics when they mesh nicely with existing cosmetics in the game, man. You know you've done something right. All I gotta say is great work all around from the creators of these item sets, man. Please go give these some love. The links for these things are in the description below, and sadly, like I said, these are just, they're too good, and they're not Christmas themed, so we're never gonna see them in game. But I digress. Moving on, let's talk about maps for a bit. I really don't take issue with holiday themed maps, be it Christmas or Halloween or what have you. What I take issue with are reskin maps, either snowy reskins or Halloween reskins of Christmas reskins or whatever the order of operations is. I have no incentive to play on these maps. They offer nothing different from their vanilla counterparts, aside from, oh look, snow or wacky spells and gimmicks. The experience is either nothing new or the original experience completely destroyed by an overabundance of gimmicks and bosses and shit that just trash the map. And they're all freaking event locked. You can only access these maps for 1 month out of the year. And in the current age of TF2, maps are the only thing that breathe life into the lungs of this game. They're the only new experiences that we get. Valve, for whatever mysterious reason, is just reluctant to add new normal maps to the game. Aside from Pier, which is of course half decent if you're not fighting against a 4,500 hour sniper main, or god forbid bread space, that fucking mistake. So you know what? Valve is gonna add festive reskinned maps anyways, so I figured I'd show off a festive reskin that does this correctly. And a second map, a vanilla map, that I think belongs in the game year round. Say hello to Christmas Turbine, a map that completely transforms a rather mundane Capture the Flag map into an entirely new experience. Yeah, it's still Capture the Flag, but my god, this map isn't Turbine anymore, and that's a good thing. Visually, they completely transformed Turbine into a shopping mall during Christmas time, but not just any shopping mall, but a shopping mall straight out of the 70s, man. One that you would expect the mercenaries to walk around in. The frickin' details, all the way down to the furniture, the lights, the decorum, even the floor just screams TF2, man. They didn't stop there. The mapper also made subtle changes that improved gameplay on Turbine, like breaking up massive sight lines with new cover so players aren't immediately sniped after stepping out into the central courtyard. They even added a little side hall to the vents area for cover and sneaky plays. And yeah, the death train in the middle of the map is a little bit gimmicky, but I can honestly overlook that for how well this map is. And man, it plays so well. It's so fun. Oh, it's good. And apparently, it took this guy a year to make this map. This map was made by one guy over a year, and that is freaking insane to me. Please go show this guy and his map some love. He very obviously poured his heart and soul into this, and my god, it shows. And now for the non-festive map, Koth Shorelight. Another aesthetically pleasing map that I believe perfectly fits into the game. It plays incredibly well for a King of the Hill map, since it isn't just 2 or 3 choke points from either side leading straight into the point, or a massive open bowl that's shut down by one sentry or sniper. This map's got tons of pathways, good verticality, sightlines broken up by cover and flanks, a frickin' rocket and a lighthouse. It's just a really good map, and man, we need more of those right now. Honestly, it's one of the best maps on the workshop, and I play tons of custom maps. I play custom maps every week on Thursday with my friend Aaron on his stream, and we've seen tons of maps. Good maps, bad maps, really bad maps, and Shorelight is easily one of the best, if not the best map I've played in a very long time. Honestly, if I just showed y'all this and y'all played on it, you'd have thought Valve had made this map back in their heyday, but nope, designed by just one frickin' guy, and I'd love to see it in game. Please go give this map some love as well. And now, finally, the war paints. And yes, I know, skins are and always will be infinitely less popular than hats and unusuals. TF2 is the hat game and CSGO is the skin game, I get that. However, I take extreme issue with how Valve handles skins right now. Years ago, when they first put skins in the game, they added skins that mostly made sense. They used colors and patterns and themes that you would fully expect to see inside the world of TF2. Yes, there were exceptions, but these were rare exceptions. But when they swapped to the Warpaint system, all that just went out the window. They lost the heavy stylization that made skins special in the first place. And now, most recent additions just flat out suck. They look really out of place in comparison to their predecessors, or they're poorly made and have no reason to be in the game based on quality standards alone. I just want some good, high quality skins that look like the ones we used to get. Skins that look like they belong in the game, man. I freaking miss that. So instead of picking a few skins to show off, I want to show off a specific creator. Say hello to a guy named Pamp. This guy makes skins that recapture their former glory. He makes war paints that genuinely look like they belong in the world of TF2. Their themes, their colors, their textures, everything reflects what made skins amazing in the first place. Pamp's skin collections mostly play off of themes within the game itself, or some other overarching theme that you'd fully expect within the world of TF2. Just look at how high quality these are. These skins feel like guns you would expect the mercenaries to use. But for all you bright color enthusiasts out there, Pamp has also managed to find a happy medium with colorful skins. This guy puts in so much work to make sure his skins reflect TF2's charm and tone. Nothing feels out of place. I honestly don't know how he does it, but by God does he do it. He's made not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 collections of skins, and not a single one is in the game at this point. Valve picks this garbage over all of this, and it's a goddamn crying shame. So please, I beg of you, yes, I am abusing my platform to go show love for things that I love. Go show Pamp some love. My God, he deserves it far more than any other creator right now in the workshop. He's the best skin maker that the workshop has ever seen, hands down, and he does not get the recognition he deserves. Honestly, a phenomenal creator, and a really nice guy too. And you know what? Valve, please, for the love of God, wrapping this up, spend more than 20 minutes over your lunch break picking out the new items. An hour's worth of your time would yield much better selections than what we keep getting. That's it. That's it. We're cutting it off there. See you guys in a few days when we get a new pair of elf shoes and a Christmas tree dildo hat for the pyro. And Snowy Dust Bowl. You know what? I'm calling it now. Calling it now. Frickin' watch. Snowy Dust Bowl is gonna get in the game. You know what? I'll do y'all one better. I already made a bet about the elf item, but if we get Snowy Dust Bowl, I'm eating a ghost pepper. It's going on YouTube. Fucking end me, cause it's gonna happen. Alright, first half of the video's done. Go ahead and click off now if you don't want to hear me ramble for a little while. I'm not sure if I'm gonna include this part. Gonna have to listen to it in post and see if I'm happy with it. And also, yeah, I'm opening cases in the background now, and I didn't buy these from Valve, don't worry. I got them off a third-party site. So somewhere down the line, someone gave money to Valve, but it sure as shit wasn't me. Listen, if the past year has taught me anything, I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that I'm really tired of 2/3 of new content being holiday themed. Smissmas was never this weird second Scream Fortress Christmas event. Valve suddenly decided to make this change back in 2019, and I will never understand why they did this. Players generally enjoyed the non-holiday themed Smissmas updates more, and there's been a sharp rise in the outcries against this change over the past few years, and not just from me. I think I need to refresh everyone's memory on what TF2's Christmas updates used to look like, so you can at least understand why I, and so many others, are fed up with the overly festive shit. Before 2016, TF2's Australian Christmas, Smissmas updates, what have you, were a pretty big deal. We used to get new maps, sometimes entirely new game modes, new weapons, and a huge variety of cosmetics. Aside from the festive weapons and a small handful of cosmetics, a vast majority of new content wasn't strictly Christmas themed. And even then, the festive weapons were fairly subtle, well, to a fault, and the festive cosmetics still meshed fairly well with the game. They were simple cosmetics that you would expect the mercenaries to wear. Sometimes they were even pretty grisly. Things that you would expect to see inside of the game. They fit the tone of the game. Pretty much all the way through 2015, you could tell that Valve was still trying, at least. 2016, however, was a little sign of the things to come. That year brought us a pretty mediocre Christmas update. We got no new content aside from some taunts and a rather shitty cosmetic case. This likely happened because Valve was still reeling from the mess that was the Meet Your Match update, and as a result we got significantly more tacky Christmas themed items, and a lot of other ones that were just unbefitting of the game in general. But this behavior from Valve wasn't set in stone just yet, because 2017 brought us another fairly decent winter update post Jungle Inferno, with a fairly passable cosmetic case, some exceptions, and also a really good Warpaint case, still considered the best ever released, with only one Christmas-themed Warpaint, and of course this mistake. Main thing to point out is that holiday items were still in the extreme minority, and this trend continued in 2018 as well. Another fairly passable cosmetic case, again, some exceptions, with holiday items in the extreme minority. I mean, Christ, technically only one holiday-themed item was put in this case. Up until 2018, and this is very important to note if it wasn't obvious yet, I've said this like 6 times now, Christmas-themed items were in the extreme minority in terms of content. A few festive items are certainly welcome with open arms, and it's a nice little nod to Christmas, and they're fun additions, but updates weren't comprised of 100% Christmas-themed content. Ever. We mostly received content that was neutral, or at most winter-themed, and most of it reasonably acceptable, and of course, obvious, but very rare exceptions that didn't mesh with the world of TF2. And then, in 2019, the scales tipped really far in the other direction. Valve, again, for whatever reason that I just can't comprehend, decided to start treating TF2's typically welcome Christmas updates as a second Scream Fortress, where instead of providing a nice mix of content between non-winter themed and winter themed and Christmas themed, someone hit that switch of only Christmas. Good God, just look at this. What the hell happened with cosmetic selections? Even the few non-Christmas themed items just didn't fit. And every single Warpaint was Christmas themed. Just compare the 2017 to the 2019 collection. Who the hell thought this was a good idea? None of these Warpaints even remotely come close to matching the quality of the predecessors, and the tone of the Warpaints just didn't fit the game's art style and environments. I mean, yeah, I understand that they were trying to make a second Scream Fortress, but it's just too much. And then 2020 came. Oh my God, bringing some of the worst cosmetics and Warpaints we've ever received. I really don't think I need to elaborate again as to why. This Warpaint case was what set me to start severely critiquing Valve's behavior with item selection and the workshoppers' tendency to feed into their shitty behavior. Not only was Valve selecting nearly 100% Christmas-themed content again, but the quality of their selections just plummeted to subterranean levels. And when I say they started treating Smissmas like a second Scream Fortress, they really leaned into that for 2020. This is when they started adding gimmicky Christmas-themed maps instead of just winter-themed maps or normal new maps altogether. Again, Maps are the only thing that breathe new life into TF2 gameplay-wise, but Valve not only decided to start picking strictly gimmicky Christmas-themed maps, but they decided to lock these behind a second holiday event. Why? Why do this? It makes no sense to me. Again, yeah, we got Pier, but Jesus Christ, man. And then 2021, man. Oh god, we just got more of the same from 2020, but somehow it just got worse. Christmas reskins, of Halloween reskins, of vanilla maps. We got frickin' bread space this year. Jesus, we don't talk about bread space anymore, my god. And the same story with cosmetics, man, and for many people, including myself, this 2021 was just rock fucking bottom. And I got fed up, as I'm sure you all know. I really started getting on Valve's case and more so on the workshop's case. These two entities just engage in this constant feedback loop that pumps my favorite game full of crap. And within the span of 3 years, just 3 years out of a nearly 15-year lifespan, the quality of TF2's Christmas updates just vanished. And again, I think I said this earlier, I understand that we shouldn't expect the higher quality TF2 updates of old. That ship has sailed. That's not my complaint here. Ultimately, my complaint is that Valve now treats Smissmas like a second Scream Fortress. They never did that up until very recently. And because of that, 2/3 of TF2 content are just holiday themed. 2/3. Again, a little bit is fine. A few Christmas items were always okay. That was expected. But you know what? Say it with me, class.
This was the exception, not the norm.
And then, for whatever reason, Valve decided that it should be the norm, which again, in my opinion, is a huge fucking mistake and a huge blow towards degrading what makes this game so special. Its heavily stylized nature, its lovable characters, its tight, immersive gameplay and environments, the things that keep bringing you back year after year after year are slowly getting corroded away by this bullshit, and it fucking sucks. And just to get something off my chest, because I am not a smart man and I just can't help myself and make myself ignore the idiots, I made a little bingo card for this year's Smissmas update. Yeah, I know it's a jab at Valve, because if the past 3 years are of any indication of what's to come, this is what we're in for. And of course, Twitter being Twitter, they interpret this as me whining about receiving Christmas items during the Christmas update. Honestly, I just don't understand how anyone can be this daft, but then again, this is Twitter that we're talking about. Again, a little bit is fine. A little bit of Christmas is totally fine. I fully expect Christmas-themed items during the Christmas update, during the winter update. We've received a few of them throughout the entirety of TF2's history, but not 100% Oriental Trading Catalog tier garbage. Awful festive skins thrown together in Photoshop in 5 minutes, and crappy rushed maps locked behind a holiday timer. That ain't normal. Shouldn't be that way. Oh yeah, and these fucking festive unusual effects. Put a fucking bullet in my goddamn head. When 2/3 of the game's content is holiday themed and isn't reflective of what you'd expect from TF2 items, you get sick of it really fast. That's why I've been so vocal about it over the past year, cause it is just so fucking tiresome. I pray to God that Valve breaks the cycle this year. Only time's gonna tell. Updates coming out in a few days, but honestly, I really don't have my hopes up.